What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Truth Beyond. Today we got a good one. Today we are talking about who's really running the show. The theory that humanity isn't in control. But first, before we get into that, I'm here with my buddy Frank. Frank, what is going on, sir? How are you?
What is going on, bro, Safini? I'm doing pretty good myself. How are you doing? How's things been?
Things are looking up. Remember I had the issue with my garage door I was talking about?
Last week you were talking about that.
Yeah, broke, but my buddy Sean came over. He fixed it. He actually fixed it more than I was helping him. So thankfully we got that done.
Wow. Hey, I'm doing a book on boring stories. You mind if I use that one?
You son of a... Yeah, you can use that one because it's a boring story. But let me ask you this, Frank. What if humanity isn't actually the dominant intelligence on Earth?
That's a great question, Josh. What if governments aren't the highest authority?
Ooh.
Hit you back with that one.
You did. Well, what if the biggest secret isn't that UFOs exist, but that something behind them has quietly influenced civilization for thousands of years?
Tonight we'll explore one of the most controversial ideas in modern UFO lore.
Ooh, I'm excited. So this episode is going to explore theories, eyewitness testimony, historical accounts, and government disclosures.
And you and I are going to separate documented facts from speculation, buddy.
Yeah, and the goal here is really we're going to be examining ideas. We're not claiming certainty. We're examining the ideas and exploring them. So let's get into the first segment, which is really why this theory exists, and that's the government secrecy problem. So let's go over some verified facts.
Sure.
So the first one, the U.S. government has investigated unidentified aerial phenomena under multiple programs over the decades, and that's just a fact.
Yeah, let's just hit on that subject for a second. So we have early projects like Project Sign from 1947, which went into Project Grudge in 1949, and everybody knows Project Blue Book.
Oh, yeah.
That's famous.
Yep. That's
and then
the one
more
I
of the
know
modern programs, the ATIP, UAP Task Force, which later became Arrow. And that's something we're going to talk more in detail about later.
Perfect.
But those are the projects
that
Josh is referring to.
Yep. And then there's numerous military pilots have reported objects exhibiting unusual flight characteristics. And this is lately, I feel like this is everywhere.
Yeah. And most famous, David Fravor. I hope I'm saying that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And that's the famous Tic Tac video where he digitally tracked it across the Pacific Ocean.
And then some government videos of unidentified objects have now officially been released.
Have you seen the latest release that came out last weekend? I think it was the 5th release.
Yeah, I was watching some of them. I don't think I saw all of them, but I was watching some of them.
I have a little theory about some of that. It's unidentified, but some of it I think is pretty clear. For example, I think some of the videos were actually being tracked. It was a missile.
A missile? What makes you say that?
Okay, well, think of it this way. You got to put everything in perspective of how you look at it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I have a satellite up in space, up on top. Let's say the missile's coming from the bottom, and then it's heading towards the satellite.
Okay.
But then decides to turn around and go back down.
Right.
We're looking at the perspective of that satellite from the top point down.
From above.
Above.
Yep.
So it might look like the missile is making these weird shapes that
darting, weird,
doing things that we aren't doing yet, but yet it's doing it.
But you're saying, the possibility is the perspective of how we're looking at it makes it look like that.
Correct. Another example I saw in that video was the blue video where there was this white object going across an industrial city area. I don't know, but there was trucks going by. So focus on the speed of the truck and then focus on the dot going by. It was actually going slow when you looked at it in comparison to the speed of the trucks and cars. Again, the perspective.
That's good. That's a good one. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Which makes me kind of think, not not from this earth, but more like a surveillance drone.
Right. That would make sense. I mean, logically, that makes sense. Especially, that's a really good point about the trucks. If the trucks are moving, at a certain speed and this object is not moving.
That's where you get something to gauge from. So you have to focus on one thing.
That's a good point.
That's what I was doing.
Yeah, that's a good point, people. So keep that in mind. Like when you're watching these videos, think to yourself, like, how
look at the perspective of where the radar's coming from.
What am I looking at? And I think this is really the reason why secrecy fuels speculation. I think people naturally are just asking, hey, if these are not foreign aircraft, if they're not conventional technology, why is so much information classified?
Yeah, well, that's what creates room for theories. Just like what I'm saying. I have no facts to back this up, but it's a theory from watching this video. Even the video when you see the ship and this white object darts really past it extremely fast. Be another missile.
Could be. Like you said, with perspective.
But look at the perspective of where it's being filmed from.
So this just begs the question now. If all of this is nothing like if it's not UFOs, why would the military be secretive? Why are they protecting things? What's going on? What are they protecting?
I think one of the obvious things could be the military technology, keeping it away from our adversaries.
Logically, that makes sense, right?
Well, that's probably the big excuse everybody's using, and it's a good one.
Yeah. We don't want...
The government keeps so much from us. This could be
another thing.
We don't want China, Russia, et cetera, Iran to know our technology. One problem I have with that, though, is how come we haven't really used that yet? Maybe we have, and we just don't know it. But not to get into politics and stuff, because that's not our thing at all. But we're at war with Iran. If they have all this advanced technology, why aren't they using it?
Right. And that brings up a great point. So what if, let's just say, we're just talking crazy here, but let's say...
It's a crazy subject, so it's time for crazy talk.
Let's say the little green men came down and they go, we have great technology to give you. I don't know if that's the way they talk, but maybe that's the way they talk. And we go, whoa, thank you for this technology. We appreciate it. This will show you how to rule the whole entire world. And we're like, oh, that's awesome. But first, we must probe you. Well, we don't know what happens. But let's say that happens. And we have
Josh is the guy to see for that. He is just...
That's right. I am. But let's say we did have all this technology. That's a great point. Why haven't we used it? Why haven't we just been like, you know what? Nuke them with the alien bomb.
There's so many things. The speculation is just crazy.
And probably, I would agree, national security is probably going to be the number one reason why things are secretive. And then
there's the fun one. People speculate it conceals evidence of non-human intelligence, that's the fun. That's the fun stuff.
And I think that's what people like to do. Is hey, why are they being secretive? Well, maybe it's not national security. Maybe it's aliens.
Maybe they have had contact.
Maybe they have.
And everything is
and they're hiding it from us.
Under the hood. That leads us to our next segment, Josh. If they're here, why stay hidden?
Yeah.
There's a lot of arguments made by UFO researchers. One main one, though, is if an advanced civilization wanted to conquer Earth, they already could have. Simple as that.
Yeah, it really is that simple. Like if they are advanced, they could have done it. But instead, all the reports we get, there's like the brief appearances, limited interactions, surveillance-like behavior, like they're watching us, and then objects that are entering and leaving oceans, little obvious interference. It's just, they're limited.
Yeah, it raises a lot of questions. One is, why are they here? Are they observers? Are they observing us? And we talked about the Greys on our first episode, and the big thing with them was scientists.
Right. They were
conducting
observers.
Experiments and things like that. So
Yeah.
are they scientists? What about tourists?
What if they are coming from another planet and they're just, hey, like how we like to go to a vacation spot, Aruba, maybe Earth is Aruba to them, They're like, hey, or it's Vegas. It might
Or
be
we
Sin
have
City.
things that they need.
Ooh, yeah.
Which leads me to one of my favorite favorite topics, the zoo hypothesis.
Oh, yeah.
It's a popular speculative idea. You know what the concept is, Josh? Humanity may resemble animals in a protected wildlife preserve, but can you imagine this, my best Rod Serling imitation. Gorillas in Africa. Scientists observe them daily. The gorillas don't know they're being watched. Kind of like women in a dressing room and Josh just walking around with a very guilty look on his face. Well, maybe not that.
I plead the fifth.
Maybe not that. But researchers avoid direct interaction, right? All of that. They don't want to mess with the gorillas. None of that. They want to see them in their everyday life. What if the aliens approached that same idea with us?
So could humanity be similar? They're not wanting to have contact with us. They don't want to alter the natural development. They want to observe civilization without interference and wait until humanity reaches a certain level. To me, like, have you ever, and this, I'm like thinking years ago, but do you remember being a kid and just watching ants and just watching them crawl on the ground and just being like, they're going towards somewhere. And it's interesting. You have no idea that I exist.
Yep, they're going to that lollipop you dropped about 10 feet behind you.
Yeah, and they're going to try and carry it all and like, heave ho, lift with your legs, with your back, heave ho. And they're trying to all pick it up.
And it produced many movies.
Yes. But that is the same feeling that I'm getting with the zoo hypothesis, where, man, when I looked at all those ants and they were crawling, they were going somewhere, there was another world in their eyes and what they were viewing, but I was just watching them do it. What if someone else is doing the same
it's
thing
like
with us?
it's like Horton Hears a Who.
Yeah.
Every time I see that Dr. Seuss short, or if I read the book when I was young, it definitely lets your imagination go. And that little flower there was a whole civilization in there.
Yeah.
And that's us. And there's somebody on the outside watching us. But the big question to me is who? Who is that?
Yeah. Is it an owl? Because we both said
and
who.
how many other civilizations like us are around? What if we're a small, tiny bubble among many bubbles?
Many. What if there's 1,000 different Earths and we don't even know about it?
No, we're just in ours.
Yeah.
We're just in our little world.
Wild to think about, really.
It does. And every time I read or hear about black holes, I think of that too. I think, well, what if we're in a black hole and we don't know it? And there's many black holes.
Especially now, if you scroll on social media and they show like the concept of how it is, like what our observable universe is versus what we speculate the universe to look like, it is ginormous. It's almost like you feel so small. Like it's so wild to even think about.
It's to the point where you start to freak out if you get too much into your head.
If you think about it too much. Yeah. You're like, oh my God.
Overthink. Well, because then you think, well, if say God made us, who made the aliens, and then who made those aliens, and so forth. And then you start to freak out.
There's this great saying that I heard, and it was from some scientist, and he said there is a thought process, and it has two different thought processes, and equally is as terrifying. One is that we're all alone in the universe, and that's terrifying. And the second is we're not alone in the universe, and that's equally as terrifying.
What's more terrifying to you? For me, it would be if we were all alone.
I agree. I don't like the fact of being alone.
No, I think we do a lot of stupid stuff. Sometimes I feel like we're trying to, kill ourselves with the decisions humans make.
Possibly.
Which leads to the zoo hypothesis and what we were talking about earlier with them jumping in. Wait until humanity reaches a certain level, I think you said, right?
Yeah.
Where does that level come in? What is it? What tip the scale where the alien would say, okay, now it's time to step in here. You guys went too far. Time out.
They always say
T for time out.
Nuclear, right?
They do say nuclear,
yeah.
But there's other ways that would take us out. Biological could, nuclear could. There's just so many things. And there's already so many things bad that's happened now that make you wonder, well, if that is one of the ideas or theories, how come they haven't jumped in yet?
Well, and that's another thing. It's almost like when you watch your kids and they're doing things and you're watching them play together. Like my kids, I'll watch
This
them.
is how they learn.
And you're going, okay, I'll let them go. All right, they're getting a little rough. I'll let them go. I'll let them go. Like, I want to see what happens. I want to see how they react to each other. Like, how do they figure this out?
And then you see Johnny push Tommy off the swing. And
then you're like, whoa, all right, you know what? That is not, you can't do that. Time out.
Time out.
When do the aliens come in and call time out?
I don't know.
We've done a lot of crazy shit. So they haven't called time out.
I wonder what everybody out there thinks.
Yeah. Now let's talk about the prime directive comparison. So this is popularized by science fiction, and really the idea is advanced civilizations might avoid interfering with less developed societies like ourselves.
So Josh, let's spitball some ideas back and forth here.
Sounds like a plan.
I have a question.
Sure.
Would revealing themselves destroy religions?
That's a really good question. And a lot of people have been talking about that a lot lately. And I've always had this thought, and maybe this seems just very simplistic, but if God is God, and for me, I believe in God, but if God is God and he's as big as you think he is, then yeah, maybe he created other species, other worlds. Like, what's so shocking about that? Like, it shouldn't be that shocking. If God really is God and he can control everything, it shouldn't.
Who's to say he stopped with us?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that too.
It's not like, oh my God, it destroyed everything. No, it's like, yeah, that probably makes sense.
And I think some religions have actually touched on that.
Yeah, kind of hinted at it. Like, hey, yeah, there possibly could be other stuff.
Yes, for sure.
And then let me ask this. Do you think this would cause an economic collapse if they were revealed?
I think about that as well. I think, especially with the way we all rely on fossil fuels, popular ufology lore is 0 point energy, hence free energy. Can you imagine the collapse that would happen if everybody had free energy and there was no more relying on fossil fuels? That would definitely cause an economic collapse. Which is one thing that makes me think, if the government is hiding this, it could be hiding it for this reason, because the rich don't want to get poor. They want to get richer.
Yeah, and if they completely collapses,
collapse,
everything, because it's not relying on everything anymore. So there goes all your money.
Do you think that would cause a trigger panic?
So I think at this point it's weird, because society seems like so, especially the way we move on from stories, we move on from stories so quick. It used to be like when something came on the news, people would talk about it for weeks. Now something happens and then they move on to the next story. But from what COVID and us going through that, it's possible that it could, and people could exploit that. If people start to panic, then yeah, when panic happens, people sometimes exploit it. Rioting happens, looting happens, and that causes more panic, and people are like not only just afraid of the, oh my God, there's aliens, but oh my God, now people are breaking in. They're breaking into my house now.
People turn into a fight or flight.
Right. It turns into this whole crazy demand. And typically that's when they say that the government has special programs to shut down the world in case that does happen.
They do have plans in place. And I'm glad you brought up the COVID thing too, because if you think about how much that affected everybody, and I think to this day, mentally, people are still recovering from that.
Yes.
And that's COVID.
Yeah.
Nothing compared to what this could be.
Right.
Or should we give more credit to everybody and think we can handle this?
Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it, because we handled that. But
maybe
did
not
we really
the greatest.
Yeah, and there's a lot of repercussions that are coming back from it. And then that leads me to, what if all this did happen? You think it would alter human history?
I don't know. How do we know it hasn't happened and we just don't know it?
It's a good question. What if it has? You're right.
I don't know. So I'm just going to end it with that, because I don't have any idea. Now we're at the meat and potatoes of this podcast, which I've been waiting for. And that is, are human leaders really in charge?
Oof.
I know. People have talked about it, and it's just really interesting to ponder over.
Yeah, it is. Are they really in charge?
Government leaders themselves may not have complete knowledge.
And wild to think about. Sorry, but just wild to think about if they don't have complete knowledge.
Think of it this way. So I have drawing here with my hand a big giant pie, and the pie's cut into slices. And in those slices, we have our elected officials that fight back and forth with one another nonstop. We have compartmentalized programs, intelligence agencies, basically, FBI, CIA, all these different agencies, decisions influenced by unknown factors. So what is that? I think of it as a little crumb next to that pie. So the pie is everything we know.
Everything we know about, that we can observe, that we know of.
But that little crumb is actually in charge and controlling.
What do they call that? Pie. What do they call that? They call it what? The
shadow government?
The shadow government.
The deep state?
Yeah.
Well, what if that is alien intelligence?
It's odd to think about that. Maybe there is a part of the government that is so small but has most of these answers, but everybody else doesn't know for the protection.
Why would they do this then? Maybe technology exchanges. Hey, you guys can do this. Give us that.
Possible. Secret underground facilities they don't want to know. Like, hey, only certain people know that.
I think it's a fact. We have plenty of secret underground facilities. It's what's in those facilities that we don't know, and even high up officials don't know.
What was that movie? I think it was one of the Terminators, one of the newer Terminators 3 or whatever it is. I think it was. They went in. The ending was them going into an underground bunker, and that's like where it ended. And like everybody was saved in there. And whenever I think about that, I think, man, if this is like in a movie and it looks like this, what does it really look like?
Well, what makes me think is that why do every Terminator movie after number 2 suck?
Oh, they all did, yeah.
So I don't know if I saw that one. If I did, I don't remember.
So it wasn't a great movie, but the end
was that the one where he was in, where Arnold Schwarzenegger came out at the end. He did like a revamp.
Yeah, it was the one with the chick, the girl Terminator.
Yeah, I think that was the one where he made an appearance at the end. The original one came back.
No, he was in the whole one. And the third one, he was in the whole one.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure.
Again, it was not the greatest, so it didn't stick.
No, it obviously didn't stick. But going back to, are human leaders really in charge? Maybe it's just a long-term monitoring of humanity. They are just purposely monitoring us because they know better. Like, why do they know better? Because they know something that we don't know. And what is that? So now we got to talk about, why would an advanced intelligence influence us? Why would they? So what are the possible motives that are suggested in the UFO literature? So first is observation, like we talked about with the Greys. They're here to study civilization. They're here to monitor social development. To be honest, they're not monitoring
Not doing
much.
a great job.
Yeah, it's like, oh, yeah, they were evolving, and now they've been devolving the past 20 years.
In the study and civilization part, I feel like we repeat our mistakes so much.
Yeah, they're like, what are they doing? They're doing the same thing all over again.
We don't need to study anymore.
And maybe they're recording history. They are the arbiters of recording history and seeing, hey, we are recording everything that's been going on in this galaxy. And we're recording whatever's going on here.
That's true. That's interesting. And another motive could be experimentation, human genetics.
Ooh, that's almost kind of creepy to think about, but yeah.
Right. Well, that's where the abduction theories come from, right? And you hear the stories. And psychology, the psychology of us. Consciousness. That's a big one, consciousness.
What do you think about that? Do you think these UFOs, I mean, we're conscious. They've got to be conscious, but it seems like they don't speak. They just think through.
Maybe they're that advanced. We're not quite there.
It's another level of consciousness.
It's a next level, actually, I would say.
Yeah. Another reason why they would try to influence us is resource production. So Earth is biologically unique. There's water. Now, one thing I wanted to bring up about this, what was it? Because there's always a theory that water is one of the reasons why it was there for a while, why they don't visit us, because water destroys them.
Yeah, that's because they saw the movie Signs.
Well, right. It was in Signs, but I feel like it was also like in one of there was that old radio program, and I don't know what it is, but it basically was a radio program like called Terror in the Skies or something like that. And basically it was just a fake radio program. And they came up with that theory that they just did on 1950s or 1960s, and people were listening to it and they thought it was actually real. And I believe, and I could be wrong.
Are you thinking of War of the Worlds? Or
maybe,
no?
Maybe it was.
It was a fake radio broadcast of
but I think
UFO.
that's how they ended it.
I don't know about that. I don't know.
I
know
could be
that
completely wrong.
lately, the people have been seeing them dive into the ocean.
That's my point. It's exactly been flipped. Like that was like the theory long time ago, and now it's like, they're coming out of the ocean.
Well, because 80% of the ocean hasn't been discovered yet.
It's a perfect place to hide.
Right.
So biodiversity, strategic location, basically. These are some of the reasons why.
So they actually haven't come from anywhere. They've always been here, which is
wild to think about.
Right.
Yeah.
Another theory that people talk about all the time. And then there's guidance. Okay. Think everybody says, oh, I hope they're there to stop us from using nuclear weapons.
Oh, yeah.
We've read about how unidentified flying object will be near a nuclear base and shut down the whole thing. And then this has happened here. It's happened in Russia. It's happened everywhere. The climate.
Maybe they're trying to help us, but why don't they visit China? Not to say anything bad. I'm just saying like the climate there is out of control,
Maybe they are.
Maybe they are. We don't know about it yet.
They're like, this is a big ask.
Yeah.
Human conflict, which a lot of people I think people are looking for good reasons why aliens would come here.
Positive
nuclear
reasons.
Weapons
to
stop us. Human conflict. How can we all get along? How can we cooperate with one another?
Bring us all together instead of everybody being separated. Well, let me ask you
glass
this.
half full.
If there was an alien invasion, right? Like all of a sudden tomorrow we wake up and there is...
In what kind of way? Like invasion, a violent invasion, or just they're touching down to let us know we're here?
Let's put a pause like in between that. We don't know. Let's say it's like Independence Day or the movie where they're just right over the White House. They haven't done anything, right? What if it's like that and they haven't done anything? Do you think that would have the world like want to come together? Like, and I'm talking about the world, not just America. I'm just talking about the world. Be like, oh shit, we got to get our shit together and figure out what this is together. Or do you think they'd be like,
everybody would put their differences aside in a heartbeat?
You think so?
I definitely think so.
I hope so. I hope humanity would, and they would.
If we felt threatened,
every man for himself.
I don't think so. If we felt threatened as a whole, I think you would see us come together.
I hope so. That's a positive way to look at it. I don't know, to be honest.
But then what would happen is we'd come together, the aliens would leave, we would celebrate, and everything would be great, and then we'd go back to the
and then we'd go back to
they wouldn't even be out of the atmosphere. And we'd be back to normal.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
how can we take what they just did and use it ourselves to blow everybody else up?
So let's dig a little bit deeper on something we briefly touched on, which is consciousness instead of conquest, meaning maybe the phenomenon may be less about spaceships and more about control through consciousness.
That would even be more powerful than physically controlling us.
Yeah, would physical control even be necessary if they could influence our thoughts?
No. I mean, think of all the different things they could do. Could they influence our ideas? Our beliefs?
What about dreams? What if they come to us in our dreams? They could influence our dreams.
What about our inspiration or our fear?
It'd be very interesting if that is how they could influence us through really mind control. And at that point, there's no reason for them to visit.
I know. I mean, that would be the ultimate form. But then why would they do that? if they're controlling everything,
Yeah. What's the purpose? What's the end goal?
Yeah. What is their goal? Yeah.
And besides, it's almost kind of like, if you liked a girl, would you really want to control her and say, I want to control her and make her like me? No, because at the end of the day, you knew that you controlled her. You want her to give her the free will. You're smiling
That's
at
what
me.
makes it special. Well, I'm thinking of that movie. I just saw that movie a couple weeks ago, Obsession.
Oh, you did? How
Yeah.
is it? Because
It was good. It was a good movie, but it was based on that.
Yeah, that's kind of where my mind went. But yeah, like you don't really want to control someone. So
No.
why would they want to control us?
Well, I
there's
think
something
that's
we
the
don't
big
know about
question.
it.
What is their goal, end game? What is it they want to achieve by controlling us?
And could they do that through thoughts, or do they have to? Here's another thought. Maybe they can do it through consciousness only, but they still like to visit us because they like to probe us. It could be it.
You know what I think? Not aliens would want to do all this, but governments. Governments would want to do this.
Yeah.
They'd want to control our ideas, our beliefs, our fears, our inspirations.
Scary to think about, but it's
It'd
the
be
truth.
100% control. That falls more in line.
That seems realistic to me. Let's talk about like the skeptic's point of view from this, their perspective. And that is really, I mean, there's a lack of direct evidence of everything we just said. I mean, we're kind of spitballing here, but
everybody is at the end of the day.
It is. Obviously, we're just kind of trying to figure things out. And the reason why is like human psychology is that human beings naturally seek patterns. It's how we figure out that we're safe.
We seek patterns. We're routine with everything we do.
We have to
it's the way we're wired.
Yeah. It's like how we create our natural way of living.
Our brains connect like unrelated events.
To make sense of the world.
Correct.
To figure out like, hey, does this make sense? And if you think about it, there's so much complexity throughout history.
Sure. There's wars. Politics, I'll tell you, is one.
Yep.
Religion is ongoing.
Always.
Ongoing.
The economics. Human behavior alone explains much of history without really invoking outside intelligence, which is why people also say that government secrecy isn't really unusual.
No, not every secret implies extraterrestrial involvement.
No.
There's weapons, espionage, intelligent methods.
Experimental aircraft, which makes people go, oh, maybe it's a UFO. And it's like, no, we're really just trying to build something better, bigger and better. And we think that possibly could be it. Now, one thing I did want to bring up, because I was thinking about this. Have you ever read the book Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill?
I have not.
It's a good book. But one of the
Give me a quick overview.
Yeah. Basically what it's about is Napoleon Hill has a conversation with the devil.
Is he related to Napoleon Dynamite?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. So he has a conversation with the devil, and it's really interesting. And the devil's explaining to him how he gets people away from God. And he says, there's this one way that I use, and it's very simple. It's called drifting. And if I can make a human being just drift slightly a few degrees off, just by showing them one or two different things, then they're just not even going to pay attention to God anymore. And I read that and I was like, wow, that's wild. That seems true. But I also think like, is that what the government's doing? Are they planting these things just to get us 1 or 2 degrees off? So we drift off and we don't really figure out what the truth is.
Well, I think there's a lot of obfuscation going on. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's the thing that you have to separate. What are they trying to do in terms of fool us while they're doing something else?
What are they planting?
Yeah.
To make us go, oh, what is this? So we're distracted. We're drifted over here. We're distracted over here. And now it's like, yeah, we're doing this over here because you're looking over there.
I think that happens all the time, and I think it continues to happen. I think it happens every time I turn on and look at the news.
I think social media now amplifies it because all they have to do is just put something into the ether and go.
Somebody catches onto it, and it just catches like wildfire.
And then we're all distracted.
And then an idea becomes a theory, and then it becomes true to some people.
Yeah. And then people, we talked about the Mandela effect. They remember something, and then it just gets completely thwarted by memory, and then people just expand off of it.
I find that sometimes when people really latch onto a theory and they're all in on it, even if they find out later it's not true, they will convince themselves it's true.
Yeah. Yep. They have to hold, because people need to stay true to what their identity is. And if that belief has become an identity to it, it's like they are liars to themselves and they can't handle it.
Whether these stories point to misunderstood natural phenomena, mythology, psychology, or something genuinely beyond our current understanding, they challenge us to think critically about humanity's place in the universe. The mystery isn't just what's out there, it's how we evaluate extraordinary claims while remaining open to evidence wherever it leads.
Woo! And that's all we got for you guys today at Truth Beyond. If you guys like what you hear, please remember to like and subscribe. And we are available wherever you find your social media. So TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of it. We're there. So search us, find us. Remember, as always, Truth Beyond.